Good morning, gardeners, and welcome to Friday, July 7th. My name is Catherine, and I created a show called Good Morning Gardeners, even though I can't grow green things because I am referring to gardening metaphorically. We're starting our day by getting in the right mindset to cultivate a better life for ourselves, better communities, and a better world. We are planting the seeds for a better day. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to add Good Morning Gardeners to your morning routine. I do my best to wake you up with positive and mentally stimulating ideas, but sometimes I do miss things. If you have something to add to the ideas I discussed today, please chime in the comments section below. Today marks the first day that I will be reading to you from the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. But before we jump into today's wisdom, I wanted to provide a brief overview of what Stoicism is from a philosophical point of view, and maybe even an explanation for why Stoicism is worth studying. And it turns out that everything I needed to do this can be found in the introduction of my newest book, The Daily Stoic. So this morning's episode is going to be all about Stoicism. After I share some history and context for the philosophy with you in our learning moment, I will provide a comforting perspective from Stoicism in our feel-good moment, and finally share today's Stoic wisdom with you for our focus moment. So let's begin our learning moment today. I will be reading from the introduction of the Daily Stoic, but just to be clear, I will not be reading the entire introduction, but rather my own edited selection. So if you're interested in reading the full version and having a copy of your own, I have linked this book in the description of this video. So, the private diaries of one of Rome's greatest emperors, the personal letters of one of Rome's best playwrights, and the wisest power brokers, the lectures of a former slave in exile turned influential teacher. Against all odds and the passing of some 2 millennia, these incredible documents survive. What do they say? Could these ancient and obscure pages really contain anything relevant to modern life? The answer, it turns out, is yes. They contain some of the greatest wisdom in the history of the world. Together, these documents constitute the bedrock of what is known as Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that was once one of the most popular civic disciplines in the West, practiced by the rich and the impoverished, the powerful and the struggling alike in the pursuit of the good life. But over the centuries, knowledge of this way of thinking, once essential to so many, slowly faded from view. Except to the most avid seekers of wisdom, Stoicism is either unknown or misunderstood. Indeed, it would be hard to find a word dealt a greater injustice at the hands of the English language than Stoic. To the average person, this vibrant, action-oriented, and paradigm-shifting way of living has become shorthand for emotionless. Given the fact that the mere mention of philosophy makes most nervous or bored, Stoic philosophy on the surface sounds like the last thing anyone would want to learn about, let alone urgently need in the course of daily life. Our goal with this book is to restore Stoicism to its rightful place as a tool in the pursuit of self-mastery, perseverance, and wisdom, something one uses to live a great life rather than some esoteric field of academic inquiry. Certainly, many of history's great minds not only understood Stoicism for what it truly is, they sought it out. George Washington, Walt Whitman, Frederick the Great, Eugene Delacroix, Adam Smith, Immanuel Kant, Thomas Jefferson, Matthew Arnold, Ambrose Bierce, Theodore Roosevelt, William Alexander Percy, Ralph Waldo Emerson, each read, studied, quoted, or admired the Stoics. The ancient Stoics themselves were no slouches. The names you encounter in this book, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, belonged to, respectively, a Roman emperor, a former slave who triumphed to become an influential lecturer and friend of the emperor Hadrian, and a famous playwright and political advisor. While academics often see Stoicism as an antiquated methodology of minor interests, it has been the doers of the world who found that it provides much-needed strength and stamina for their challenging lives. Stoicism was a school of philosophy founded in Athens by Zeno of Citium in the early 3rd century BC. Its name derived from the Greek stoa, meaning porch, because that's where Zeno first taught his students. The philosophy asserts that virtue, meaning chiefly the four cardinal values of self-control, courage, justice, and wisdom, is happiness, and it is our perceptions of things, rather than the things themselves, that cause most of our trouble. Stoicism teaches that we can't control or rely on anything outside of what Epictetus called our reasoned choice, our ability to use our reason to choose how we categorize, respond, and reorient ourselves to external events. Early Stoicism was much closer to a comprehensive philosophy like other ancient schools whose names might be vaguely familiar to you. For example, Epicureanism, Cynicism, Platonism, and skepticism. Proponents spoke of diverse topics, including physics, logic, cosmology, and many others. One of the analogies favored by the Stoics to describe their philosophy was that of a fertile field. Logic was the protective fence, physics was the field itself, and the crop that all of this produced was ethics, or how to live. As Stoicism progressed, however, it focused primarily on two of these topics, logic and ethics. Making its way from Greece to Rome, Stoicism became much more practical to fit the active, pragmatic lives of the industrious Romans. As Marcus Aurelius would later observe, I was blessed when I set my heart on philosophy that I didn't fall into the sophist's trap, nor remove myself to the writer's desk, or chop logic, or busy myself with studying the heavens. Instead, he and Epictetus and Seneca focused on a series of questions not unlike the ones we continue to ask ourselves today. What is the best way to live? What do I do about my anger? What are my obligations to my fellow human beings? I'm afraid to die. Why is that? How can I deal with the difficult situations I face? How should I handle the success or power I hold? These weren't abstract questions. In their writings, often private letters or diaries, and in their lectures, the Stoics struggled to come up with real actionable answers. They ultimately framed their work around a series of exercises in three critical disciplines. First, the discipline of perception, how we see and perceive the world around us. Second, the discipline of action, the decisions and actions we take and to what end. Third, the discipline of will, how we deal with things we cannot change, attain clear and convincing judgment, and come to a true understanding of our place in the world. By controlling our perceptions, the Stoics tell us we can find mental clarity. In directing our actions properly and justly, we will be effective. In utilizing and aligning our will, we will find the wisdom and perspective to deal with anything the world puts before us. It was their belief that by strengthening themselves and their fellow citizens in these disciplines, they could cultivate resilience, purpose, and even joy. Born in the tumultuous ancient world, Stoicism took aim at the unpredictable nature of everyday life and offered a set of practical tools meant for daily use. Our modern world may seem radically different than the painted porch of the Athenian agora and the forum and court of Rome, but the Stoics took great pains to remind themselves that they weren't facing anything different than their own forebears did, and that the future wouldn't radically alter the nature and end of human existence. So, in light of that, that is our historical and contextual overview of the Daily Stoic. That was our learning moment for today. And now we are going to move on to our feel-good moment, which I'm going to read to you the portion of the introduction titled A Philosophical Book for the Philosophical Life. And I think that this fits in to our feel-good moment because it's going to explain to you exactly how the wisdom in this book can be used. And I'll explain more after I read this. Some of us are stressed. Others are overworked. Perhaps you're struggling with the new responsibilities of parenthood, or the chaos of a new venture. Or are you already successful in grappling with the duties of power or influence, wrestling with an addiction, deeply in love, or moving from one flawed relationship to another? Are you approaching your golden years, or enjoying the spoils of youth, busy and active, or bored out of your mind? Whatever it is, whatever you're going through, there is wisdom from the Stoics that can help. In fact, in many cases, they have addressed it explicitly in terms that feel shockingly modern. That's what we're going to focus on in this book. Drawing directly from the Stoic canon, we present a selection of original translations of the greatest passages from the three major figures of late Stoicism, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. Accompanying each quotation is our attempt to tell a story, provide context, ask a question, prompt an exercise, or explain the perspective of the Stoic who said it so that you may find a deeper understanding of whatever answers you are seeking. The works of the Stoics have always been fresh and current, regardless of the historical ebb and flow of their popularity. It was not our intention with this book to fix them, or modernize them, or freshen them up. Instead, we sought to organize and present this vast collective of wisdom of the Stoics into a digestible, accessible, and coherent as possible. One can and should pick up the original works of the Stoics in whole form, but in the meantime, here, for the busy and active reader, we have attempted to produce a daily devotional that is as functional and to the point as the philosophers behind it. And in the Stoic tradition, we've added material to provoke and facilitate the asking of big questions. Organized along the lines of the three disciplines, perception, action, and will, and then further divided into important themes within those disciplines, you will find that each month will stress a particular trait and each day will offer a new way to think or act. The areas of great interest to the Stoics all make an appearance here. Virtue, morality, emotions, self-awareness, fortitude, right action, problem-solving, acceptance, mental clarity, pragmatism, unbiased thought, and duty. The Stoics were pioneers of the morning and nightly rituals, preparation in the morning, reflection in the evening. We've written this book to be helpful with both. One meditation per day for every day of the year. If you feel so inclined, pair it with a notebook to record and articulate your thoughts and reactions. The aim of this hands-on approach to philosophy is to help you live a better life. It is our goal that there is not a word in this book that can't or shouldn't, to paraphrase Seneca, be turned into works. To that end, we offer the book. So, in light of that, our feel-good moment for today is simply that whatever you are struggling with, you are not alone. People have been grappling with the human condition since the beginning of humanity, and today, many of us are all going through similar problems. It seems to me that the promise of Stoicism isn't that it can solve all these problems, but that it can help you weather the storm of these problems until they pass. So let's get into today's Stoic wisdom, July 7th, titled Our Duty to Learn. And this day begins with a quote from Seneca. "This is what you should teach me, how to be like Odysseus, how to love my country, wife, and father, and how, even after suffering shipwreck, I might keep sailing on course to those honorable ends." So after this quote, the authors write, "Many school teachers teach the Odyssey all wrong. They teach the dates, they debate whether Homer was really the author or not, whether he was blind, they explain the oral tradition, they tell students what a cyclops is or how the Trojan horse worked. Seneca's advice to someone studying the classics is to forget all that. The dates, the names, the places, they hardly matter. What matters is the moral. If you got everything else wrong from the Odyssey, but you left understanding the importance of perseverance, the dangers of hubris, the risks of temptation and distraction, then you really learned something. We're not trying to ace tests or impress teachers. We are reading and studying to live, to be good human beings, always and forever." So, whether you can remember anything about the Odyssey or not, I think we can all extract a pearl of wisdom from that passage. For our focus moment today, I want to invite you to reflect on your purpose for learning. Whether you're an avid reader like me, you're currently in school, you like to learn by watching educational YouTube videos, or you just enjoy listening to Good Morning Gardeners, I think it's safe to say that everyone listening right now is a learner. So why do you do it? If you're in school, the answer might be to get good grades or impress a teacher. If you're not in school, the answer might be to impress people in general or to improve your career. Some of us even have the luxury of learning simply because we enjoy it. But what should be the purpose of our learning? According to the authors of the Daily Stoic, the purpose of learning should be to become better human beings. And I am definitely on board with that because cultivating better human beings means building a better world. So if you are still listening to me this morning, thank you for your dedication to learning and the part you're playing in cultivating a better world. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will speak with you again on Monday.